Morning folks, this is Jim with Drive to Ride. Sharon is behind the camera today, and today we're going to be talking about changing out the anode in your water heater. This is only for people who have Suburban water heaters. It is not the Atwood heater. So if you have an Atwood, this doesn't apply to you because Atwood water heaters do not have anodes. Okay, so why do you have anodes in some of the water heaters? The Atwood has an aluminum tank, so it doesn't corrode as readily as the steel tank in the Suburban. The Suburban water heater is actually porcelain covered, so it is protected somewhat. But the anode that's in the Suburban will protect the tank from deterioration, rust, that kind of thing that can attack that steel. The anode itself acts as a sacrificial element, so that any acidity to the water will attack the anode and not the tank. There are a couple of different kinds of anodes. I have one here. You get these on Amazon, about $15. There's a couple of different kinds of anodes. There is a magnesium one, as this one is, and there's also an aluminum. Now the aluminum might be a couple of dollars cheaper, and it is for situations where you're in very harsh water and you're going through anodes quickly. The downside to using an aluminum anode is that the anode itself, the aluminum anode, deteriorates over time, and chunks of it can actually fall to the bottom of your water tank, and that can get into your water pump and your water system. You don't want that if you can possibly avoid it. So most of the time the magnesium anode is what you want to stay with. Okay, so what kind of tools are you going to need to change out the anode? Well, first of all, you're going to need a 1 1/16 inch socket. This is probably going to be a 1/2 inch drive. You might have some trouble finding these in a 3/8 drive, so you may have to settle for this and get an adapter. You're going to need some kind of a ratchet in this particular case because this is a 1/2 inch drive. I'm actually using the torque wrench that I use for the lug nuts on the wheels, just because I happen to have it. Of course, you'll want to be really careful that you don't try and torque the anode down with anything like this, or you'll have bigger problems. And then you're going to need some Teflon tape because we need to wrap the threads of the anode once we get the new one back in. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is turn off the water heater inside the house, and then we're going to run the hot water inside the house until we get all the hot water out of the tank. You want the tank cool whenever you start this process, because otherwise you're going to get burned. So we're over on the driver's side of the rig right now where the hot water tank is. This is the cover, and we're going to just take this off. Most all just have a little twist on here, and it just comes off like that. So the anode is down here in the bottom. Okay, one thing I forgot to tell you is that you need to also turn the water off to the rig. Now we're going to get a lot of water out of this. The water is turned off to the rig, but it's going to drain the tank. Like that.
There comes the water. Stand back, water flow.
Okay, so this is just a side-by-side comparison where you can see the condition of the old one and the new one. We're going to take it, and actually I've seen that the one that I got from Amazon has already got the Teflon tape on it, so we just need to put it back in. Obviously, I'm using a torque wrench. We are not going to torque this down. We're just going to get it where it's snug so it doesn't leak. I don't believe there is any torque spec on it that I'm aware of. And that's about as tight as I want it right there. We've got the new anode installed, and we've got it tightened down to where I don't think it's going to leak. We've got the water turned on. Now the next thing is very important. Make sure you allow the hot water tank to fill completely before you turn the elements back on. You don't want to ever turn on either the gas or the electricity to your water heater until it is full of water. Now the way I'm going to do it, I'm going in the house and I'm going to turn on the faucets, the hot water faucets in both the kitchen and the bathroom, and make sure all the air's out of it before we turn on the hot water tank. Okay, so we've got the new anode in, we've got it tightened down, we checked for leaks, we have bled all of the air out of the hot water tank, and we've turned the element back on, so we're going to have hot water here in about 20 minutes or so. So that's the end of this one. We've gotten another project done. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already done so, and we'll see you next time.